It's already summer out.
And here's a list of games that work great outside.
In this video, we're gonna pick 12 different games to play outside.
And we're gonna do it in 6 different categories.
We're gonna pick them in a very unique way. We're gonna draft them. And whenever a game is drafted, it can never be drafted again.
Never?
Never ever.
Whatever. First category is windproof.
I have never won this except this time. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
My pick is a game called Hive. Hive is a 2-player abstract game where players are trying to surround the other player's queen bee. So you're placing down different insects and they move in unique ways. And by moving your pieces, you're trying to surround the, what I said before. There's no board whatsoever to the game. You're just playing pieces and they're touching each other and then you have to move them around. Fairly quick game, only for 2 players, but these big chunky pieces make it not only windproof, but also waterproof.
Corridor. And it's pretty windproof. It's made out of wood, it's a bit heavier than usual games, and I find it is windproof, and it's really stormy outside. The game is all about getting to the other side of your board. You have these little pawns that you move. It's usually a 2-player game. On your turn, you can do one of the 2 things. Either move your pawn 1 space, or place one of your walls that usually stops the other player from progressing. But there can be tricky moves that actually help you progress more, and it asks a lot of brain power, but it's relatively quick. It could be a really good game to play outside as well, even if it's a bit windy. I'm gonna pick Skull. And I think it's really good for playing outside, because there's not a lot of components at all, and these components are cardboard.
They're basically coasters.
They're basically coasters,
You can put your drink on it, look at it, and just play that way.
Yeah, exactly. So it's awesome for picnics as well. The idea of the game is placing down your coasters and not showing what did you put, a skull or flower there. Flower is all right, but if the skull means if you ever flip that around, you lose the point. When it's your turn, you can put another coaster there with a flower or skull, nobody knows, or you can challenge and say, for example, I challenge 3, which means flip around 3 of these coasters put down, but you have to start with your own. But the next player then can either challenge you more and say, I'll flip around 4, or skip. If everybody skips after you, that means that you will have to just flip. And maybe you're bluffing. Maybe you had a skull there. So it's always about this risking and finding the right timing when everybody will place down flowers there.
My pick for family game is a bit more childish than Skull. It is Dancing Eggs or Crazy Eggs, or depends which eggs you have. Obviously it's a bit more childish, but I've played with just grown-ups as well. So how the game works is you have a bunch of these rubbery eggs in the middle table, and then you have 2 dice. One die, when you roll it, tells you what kind of task you have to do before anybody else to get an egg as a point. For example, you have to go cock-a-doodle-doo first, or you have to run around the table first. And when you do that, you get an egg as a point, and then you roll the other die, and this is where the fun part starts. It tells you where you have to place it. It's either under your arm, or you have to hold it with your, chin, and you have to play the whole game like that without dropping it. It gets more hilarious and hilarious as you go. You can easily play it inside, but it can get pretty wild, especially playing with grown-ups, so it's much safer to do it outside. Next category is a team game.
A team game means that there's at least 2 teams, a group of people, which is at least 2 people playing against each other.
So like boys versus girls, or another option is girls versus boys, right?
Sure. Really weird.
Well, what other teams can you name?
Grown-ups against children.
Or boys versus girls as well, right? So my pick for a team game is going to be a card game called Teach You. It's a 2 versus 2 game, which means you can only have 2 teams and only 2 players on each. So it's 4 players exactly. And it's a fairly quick game. It takes around 30 minutes to play, and I just love it so much.
If you left it there, I have to pick it up, which is Roundnet. Roundnet is an awesome game. You play it 2 against 2.
It's like if volleyball and table tennis had a baby.
You have this huge net in the middle, 360 degrees all around. Pass the ball to your teammate, get it back, and hit the net.
If you look at the footage, you would think that looks pretty complex. But there's a simpler version where there's a bigger ball and the net is slightly bigger. Obviously, it is the best if you can get like grown-ups versus grown-ups. That is when it shines really well, especially if they're at the same skill level.
What I really enjoy about this game is that it's easy to learn, it's easy to play, it's not that difficult, but it's hard to master, and that's awesome for these type of games.
Next category is best for couples.
For two people, I really enjoy roll and write games. And I recently tried out Railroad Inc. It's also very good for outdoors because all you have is one pretty sturdy cardboard, few dice, as well as one marker, and that's it. That's all you have. You roll few dice and then draw in your cardboard whatever you just rolled. It's fun for two. You can still have a lot of conversations and fun with it. That's why I picked it, and I think it's a really good pick.
My pick is Pandemic Hot Zone. And you're probably thinking, whoa, Pandemic takes a lot of space. And I'm like, yes, but not Pandemic Hot Zone. The box is smaller, the board is smaller, there's less cards, and it takes less than 20 minutes to play. Since it's a co-op, you don't have to get angry at each other if somebody beats somebody. Well, it depends on you guys. Me and my wife, we like to beat each other in games, all the time. But
This is getting awkward.
Yeah, just now? I'm losing my touch. But it's a really nice, like a couples game to play really quickly. Pandemic Ordinary works well with two anyways, but so this one's just a smaller, easier version to take with you and quicker to play. Next category, pocket-sized.
Pocket-sized means that, well, you can put that game into your pocket. Just stuff it in.
Easily, yeah. Easily, not like, easily.
Yeah, sure.
So I get to go first, and my pocket sized game is Insider. It's a small red box which basically just has cards of two types. Ones are really thick ones, which are the rolls, because it's a hidden roll game, and the others are just deck of words. It's basically a co-op game where one player is like the master and he reads a word, and then everybody else will have to guess that word in 5 minutes by asking questions which you can answer only yes or no to. But the trick is that there's one insider. When the master has looked at the word, everyone closes his eyes and he leaves the word open, and then the insider opens his eyes and looks at the words, and then we're ready to play. Everybody loses if in 5 minutes we don't guess the word. But if we do guess the word, everyone has to guess who the insider is, because the insider knows the word. He's trying to nudge you, like, ask if it's a fruit. But afterwards, you're trying to figure out who was the insider. And if you guess the insider, then everyone except the insider wins. If you don't guess the insider, only the insider wins. So it's very tricky for the insider. You know what the word is. You can't outright guess it. But you have to guide everyone else. You're like, maybe we should ask if it's a fruit. It obviously works with bigger amount of people. So like 4 at least. It works fine with 4. But 5 and 6 is even better. And it takes like 5 minutes to play.
My pick is Jungle Speed.
Does not fit in your pocket.
Does, absolutely. There is this one totem, and that's like the biggest part of it.
And what, you leave the box at home?
You can leave your box at home, but it absolutely fits your pocket, at least the components does. When your turn comes, you just take one of your cards and flip it over. You quickly try to compare, does anyone else have the same drawing that I do? And these drawings are really tricky. They are similar, but different. If we have the same drawings, then we have to grab the totem as quickly as we can. If you're the one that's slower, you take all the opened cards and put it under your pile of cards. And the winner is whoever gets rid of all their cards. Simple, but it's very stressful.
And the last category, wild card.
I actually wanted to pick this game in the teams category, but I didn't because you left Rounded here. So my pick is Wavelength. And what I really liked about it is, yes, you have smaller cards here that probably is not a good option when you're outdoors, but everything fits nicely in one box. You open the box, you place everything inside there, and nothing gets lost. And you can put that box wherever you want. So it's actually pretty good for outdoors. There are 2 teams, 2 captains. It really reminds me of Codenames a bit. There is this huge wheel where you have specific points on it, and you want to hit the mark as precisely as you can, and you can choose what you will give your team as a clue. Salads or cake. Is it healthy or not healthy? Your team has to put this marker where they think is the best spot. Then you open the gates and see how close you were, and get points from that. Something that you wouldn't expect, I guess, for an outdoor game, but Wavelength is a good pick for this.
My wild card is a game that actually would fit on most any of the previous categories. It is the game I've probably played the most outside of these types of like outdoory games. That is a lie. I've played more basketball than this, or volleyball. Shut up. It's cube. Actually, another name for it is Viking chess. You divide into 2 teams. Each team can have up to 6 players. And your goal is to knock over the king with a stick that is in the middle of the board. And you play on area 5 by 10 meters. So it's fairly big. Trick is you can't hit the king directly. First, you have to knock over all the knights of the opposing teams, which are like these smaller cubes that are on the other side of the area. And on your turn, you get 6 throws, and then the next team goes. If somebody accidentally knocks over the king before you knock over all the knights, you lose immediately, so you have to be careful how you do it. And it's just, I don't know what it is about it, and it's an old and classical game, but it's very fun, and I love it.
I also have played Numbers Cube, which is completely different, but also pretty good.
It is fairly heavy and big, though, because it's a lot of wood.
That's
literally.
true.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments what are your favorite games to play outside.
If you like the way we did our top, then please subscribe, like, share this video. It really helps us a lot.